Yo, 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 what is going on? I'm just gonna go with Kingdom Builder fam, or I guess I should say Rock fam today. Man, your boy, Mr. Kingdom Builder, we back! I'm pretty excited because in today's video, I really wanted to touch on what I feel are extremely important points and realistic expectations when you are coming in to a kingdom builder, specifically in this case, Rise of Kingdoms. Now, for those of you who, again, are either new, if you've only been playing for a little bit of time, right, let me give you a brief rundown on Rock. So, and again, the Kingdom Builder genre. As we dive deep into what you need to be prepared for as a new player coming into the game so you can understand really what these games are, right? They are kingdom builders first, player account builders second. And I'm going to dive deep into that as well. Now, when you get into these games, right, very similar to any other type of game you may have played, right, you are focused on leveling up your city or your base. And you do that through essentially leveling up these buildings, right? You click on one, you hit the green arrow, it'll tell you what the prerequisites are to level it up, and you do that. You'll get access eventually to more buildings that you can make, along with military, to start building out more troops, right? You will eventually get commanders that you can unlock and or purchase, and you'll start unlocking more of these, right? You'll start doing pairings, so you can eventually go out there and attack players. You can also attack PvE. Clearly, I haven't even attacked level 1. Here we go, fantastic. Right, to give you an example, right, you'll go new troops, right? This is where you would do your pairings, right? Again, if you level your commanders up to a certain point, right, then of course you can go ahead and attach a secondary one there as well. Now, given we've given you a very quick TLDR on what to expect when you come in, as far as what you're doing with your individual player account, right, which is pretty standard to a lot of other games, or again, Kingdom Builders, I should say, then you now start looking at what is beyond your account, right? Because you're just a fish, you're a tadpole in this big ocean, right? Not really a pond, probably more like a lake. And the lake is your kingdom, right? So let's zoom out and take a look at your kingdom. Now, anytime you start a new account, you're going to be getting into your own kingdom. Now, usually if you're a brand new player, you've never played Rock before, or any other kingdom builder, the game will usually auto-place you into the newest server or kingdom that the game has at the moment. Then, of course, you can always create a new character. You can go to pretty much create a new character in arguably any kingdom that you want. But this is what the map looks like, right? So you'll notice if you look at the mini map here in the top right-hand corner, you'll see that there are these sectioned off areas. There's 6 in total on the outside perimeter. That is referred to as Zone 1. That's the starting zone for all players, right? When you make a new account, you'll notice that you can actually choose one of 6 zones, or provinces, I should say, that you can go into. I'll give you an example. So if I click on this city here, you'll see, right, province 1, 2, 3, 4, right, they're all listed here, kind of in a clockwise fashion. You can view, eventually that's kind of where you can also click to start with your new account. So you have your zone 1. Then let's look at the rest of the ring, and you'll see there's a second layer here, which I'll show you is here. Right, so here's your second layer that kind of goes around the middle. You can see it's a little bit thinner, not as much space, it's decreasing, less territory. This is zone 2, or the second layer. And then your final zone, which is zone 3, right, where your lovely Lost Temple is, your kingdom is more or less kind of vying for control, right, of advancing and then, of course, eventually getting control of Lost Temple. Now, with this being said, there are certain ways that you would approach, and this is really kind of where more of the kingdom builder realistic expectations come into play, is that in games like these, right, prior to there being something like a server versus server or a kingdom versus kingdom announced, players would eventually realize that your objective as a player in an alliance within your kingdom is to advance, right? So you want to get from zone 1 to zone 2 to zone 3. anyone, doesn't matter if you're a vet, if you're a new player, however long you've been playing Rock, when you go into a server, right, your objective, more or less, is to try and advance with your alliance, right? Because everyone, more or less, wants to get to Zone 3, right? Again, there's higher tier resources, there's more benefits that you can get just from advancing there, along with if you're able to do a Last Temple rotation amongst alliances that are there. You'll also get access to better structures as you get from Zone 1 to Zone 2, increased buffs, varied buffs for your alliance from controlling these, right? So there's just general benefits that you get from progressing from Zone 1 to 2 to 3. With that being said, the biggest thing I really want to hit across is that there are multiple different ways to build a server, right? If you're a new player, you have no idea, most likely, what goes into building a server, managing a server, doing diplomacy, doing recruitment, right? Having contingencies for if war breaks out, building relationships, communicating, social skills. These are all things and more that go into whether or not you are going to be in a successful server, or I should say kingdom. With that being said, the important takeaway here is that because kingdoms can develop in their direction that they go in different ways, as an example, you can have some servers that just do nothing but fight. They're war servers. You can have other servers who try to have some form of an organized structure when they go in, depending on how many alliances they want to end up in Zone 3, right? Depends if maybe you are, and then are you going to have, or will you have a server that is like a 1 or 2 mega alliance style server, which basically means that you have one alliance or two that just run away with the power. They basically front load the spenders, the high level players, right? And that's the direction they go in. Or maybe you'll get into a server that tries to balance the power out, right? Maybe they'll try and have a balance of power between 3, 4, 5, 6, however many alliances in their Zone 3, right? There's a good amount of ways, probably on that 2 hands can hold, on how you can develop and go in a direction for your kingdom. Now, with that being said, you then get to the next big, I don't want to say wrench, but the next big factor that you really have to think about, which is server versus, or I should say kingdom versus kingdom. Now, right, because most people, again, if you're new, you probably don't know about KvK. Maybe if you've never played another kingdom builder, you might not know SVS or kingdom versus kingdom, server versus server. So you may think that the end-all be-all is what is on your server, right? So like the entire lifespan of my time playing this game is going to live and die with what happens on this server. No, that's not correct. So you actually have, again, a kingdom versus kingdom. We're going to show that to you here in a second if I can actually scroll over here appropriately. Oh gosh, I forgot this one was fogged. Rough life. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to go Season 1. We'll do Lost Kingdom. I'm just going to give you a quick example, right? You could see there from the map, but we're going to show that to you after we load in. So now we're going to zoom out, right? This is an example of the first season of KvK. Now, this, I just want to really hammer home, is what players live for, right? If you are a kingdom builder player, this by far is the most important game mode and feature in these types of games. Why do I say that? Some may argue that playing a AVA variant or an alliance versus alliance variation mode is equally, if not more beneficial to them. Though I would not disagree with anyone's opinion on what they feel, the reason why playing something like this is literally the best mode and feature probably in mobile games, I'm just going to say forever, right? Doesn't really matter what genre. What I should say is in the kind of competitive MMO space genre, right? What kind of grand strategy, if you will. The reason why is because in this game mode, right, you have 8 other kingdoms that are being placed on this map, each in their own starting locations, right, which are usually in quarters, and in the middle here, like you can see where it says Clarencia, right, Weiji, Leverkusen. I'm probably butchering these, but again, giving you the example of, oh, oopsies, where am I? Okay, good. Whew, I was like, where am I going right now? And so then, right, if I click Alliance, right, you could see, right, no one's here yet. But this is just giving you an example, right? This basically means you're getting put into like this Hunger Games 8 Kingdom free-for-all. This is the bread and butter, folks, right? This is what players enjoy the most. Now, sure, playing in your home kingdom is great. That's all well and dandy. But at the end of the day, right, well established and professionally built kingdoms are really looking to avoid as much unnecessary conflict and internal fighting as possible. Why? Because they want to be able to min-max the progression on their accounts as much as humanly possible so they can have, right, the highest average player base that they can, right, with a mixture of spenders and free-to-play, right? Nobody wants to have to invest a premium currency as a free-to-play to healing troops or buying more resources, right? No, you want to use those in a way that's going to allow for you to get the most amount of return as possible. Same thing with spenders. A spender doesn't want to have to sit here and spend money on war packs or bundles that are not going directly towards their account's overall progression, right, to get them to T5, higher VIP, unlocking more specific commander pairings, right, for depending on the KvK season that they're in, right? These are just, again, examples of how you can best be as efficient as possible so you can put your individual account, depending on, again, if you're free to play or spending, and then the average player's account in your server, and then your server as a whole, right? Or I should say your kingdom as a whole, to be in the best possible position you can so you can be as strong as possible when you then get in to your first KvK and then any of the consecutive ones after that. So this is, again, kind of a summarized version of, again, why I love these types of games. And I also wanted to explain this because I think it's really important, right? There's not enough people out there who do talk about really what the importance is of when you're coming into Rise of Kingdoms and really what you should be looking to do as a player, and more importantly, a player contributing not only to your alliance, but to your kingdom as a whole, right? It's not just about your alliance or what zone you're in, right? It's about how are you working with all the other alliances in your kingdom to get your kingdom to the best possible position that it can be. And because you have a lot of alliances that'll start off in the beginning, right, there are things that you can do. We'll talk about that in a later video. But I just wanted to give a cool overview of what you as a new player can look forward to when you play something like Rise of Kingdoms and these types of kingdom builders that have these SVS and KvK formats, because it is wild. If you get into a really organized and very well-structured kingdom, you know, you most likely will have a kingdom Discord set up, right? You might have 10s to 20 to 50 to hundreds of people in voice chat at once, coordinating, planning out your grand strategy on your tactics, right? Teaming up, maybe having some guerrilla warfare, having a unit of your friends, and you guys are just going around and attacking. I mean, it is balls to the walls crazy, and how much fun it really is when you get into these, right? Because the social aspect, that engagement, the relationship building, that is really where the kind of other side of the bread, if you will, the other side of the fence, that most players, especially like myself, really get the enjoyment from in playing these types of games. I can't tell you how many great relationships I've built over my years of playing Rise of Kingdoms, and people I still play with today, or that I still am friends with today and still talk to today, that, again, I'll probably have these friends for the rest of my life. I mean, they're just really cool people that I enjoy for me. And I would imagine for yourself as well, if you're someone who's made good relationships over time. So that's it for me. Again, I'm going to start diving into some more of these kind of Kingdom Builder series on giving you some good realistic expectations when you start playing Rise of Kingdoms, because I think for new players, this is the most important part to really understand on day one. And then two, hopefully it gives you some hype. Because when I first found out about KvK, man, I was excited. I mean, there was no other games that I really wanted to play that were going to give me this type of competitive MMO grand strategy feel. You know, kind of almost like if you played something like Total War, as an example, right? Where you just, you know, you're controlling all these moving pieces, and they're all contributing and factoring into all these skirmishes that eventually kind of lead you to hopefully winning or losing the war. And that's something that you get to do with other real players, right? Because it's all real players that are on your server, right? There's no bots as far as player accounts. So, you know, it's nice to know that when you see that, again, albeit people that create bots, right? Obviously, there's an exception there. But for the most part, right, it's all real players that are in your kingdom, right, when you're first starting out. So that, to me, is probably the most exciting thing. I hope this video at least lended some clarity and gave you some direction for where you're going to come in, right, with a level head into Rise of Kingdoms, if you're especially you're a new player. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in those comments down below on if this video it helped you out in any way as far as having more realistic expectations, maybe just having a better idea of what you're getting into when you dive into Rise of Kingdoms, or even if you're someone who's been playing for a while and maybe I talked about a few things that, maybe opened up some perspectives or maybe gave you a different way of approaching maybe your server that you're currently in, right? Let me know any and all of that down below. And again, for anyone that wants to join our Discord, I'll have a link there at the top in the pinned for the comments. I'm out. Until next time, we'll catch y'all later.